The sky over the city turns white. Not dark, white. Brighter than anything you've ever seen. And before you can even process what that means, the shockwave hits. Windows don't break. They disappear. You're thrown off your feet, and for a second you can't hear anything at all. But here's the thing. The flash and the shockwave, that's not what kills most people. What comes next does. Let's go back and see how we got here. You're at your desk. It's a normal Tuesday. Coffee's gone cold. You're half reading an email you don't care about. Then your phone buzzes. Then it buzzes again. Then every phone in the building goes off at once. The emergency alert is 3 words. Seek shelter immediately. No explanation. No location. No instructions. Just those 3 words. Someone pulls up a news stream. A city you know is gone. Not burning. Gone. Where the skyline used to be, there's a column of smoke rising so high it looks fake, like someone painted it on the sky. Your coworker says it's probably a mistake. He says these systems glitch all the time. He's still saying that when the second alert comes in, different city. Same message. You should have left the building right then. You didn't. Nobody did. That's the thing about the unthinkable. Even when it's happening, you spend the first few minutes deciding whether it's real. Here's what's actually happening above you, even though you can't see it yet. The moment a nuclear weapon detonates, a bubble of gas hotter than the surface of the sun forces itself into existence. Everything within kilometers ignites instantly. The shockwave radiates outward faster than sound, collapsing buildings before the people inside them even hear the explosion. If you're close enough, you don't run. There's simply no time. But the cities that burn, they don't just burn and stop. The fires get so big, so hot, that they create their own weather. The heat pulls fresh air inward. The fresh air feeds the flames. The flames grow larger. They call it a firestorm. And a firestorm doesn't burn out. It consumes. Then something worse happens. The smoke rises. Not the way smoke from a campfire rises. It rises the way a fist punches through a ceiling. Tens of millions of tons of black soot punching up through the clouds, past the weather entirely, into the stratosphere. And up there, there's nothing to wash it back down. No rain. No wind. No weather at all. It just stays. You make it outside. A lot of people don't. The ones who do are standing in the street looking at a sky that's already different than it was an hour ago. It's not dark. The sun is still up. But something's wrong with the light. It looks thinner. Like someone turned down a dimmer switch by just a fraction. You notice it, but you don't understand what it means yet. Nobody does. Weeks pass. You've found shelter, a group, enough food for now. You tell yourself the worst is over. It isn't. It hasn't even started. The soot doesn't settle. It spreads. Within weeks, it's blanketing the entire planet at high altitude, blocking sunlight from reaching the surface. And this is where nuclear winter begins. Not with darkness. Not with a dramatic sky turning black. Just quietly, incrementally, with less warmth hitting the ground every single day. The seasons start to break. Winters that should end don't. Summers that should arrive don't come. What little rain falls wrong. The droughts start. And then the thing that nobody in your group wants to say out loud starts becoming obvious. The food is going to run out. Not just your food, everyone's food. Here's what that actually means, and it's worse than most people think. The vast majority of everything humanity eats comes from a handful of crops, grown in a handful of places, during a handful of months per year. the US Great Plains, Ukraine, parts of China. Strip those regions of their summers, and the entire global food system doesn't wobble, it collapses. Countries that produce food stop exporting it overnight, not because they're being cruel, because they're terrified, because suddenly there isn't enough. Humanity has, at any given moment, roughly a few weeks of food in reserve. Not months, weeks. You divide available calories by mouths that need them, and the math becomes something you don't want to finish. There's a man in your group, older. He used to work in logistics. He says the supply chain problem alone would have done this even without the winter. No fuel refineries, no ports functioning, no fertilizer getting to the fields that are still standing, no machine parts for the equipment that's still intact. Even if the ground could grow something, you'd need everything that no longer exists to make it happen at scale. He says this quietly, not panicking, just stating it. And somehow, that's worse than if he'd screamed it. How bad does it actually get? It depends entirely on how many weapons were used. Even a smaller exchange, say between two regional powers with limited arsenals, doesn't cause a nuclear winter. But it causes something scientists call nuclear autumn. Enough disruption to global agriculture to starve around 250 million people. 250 million. More than died in both world wars combined from a small nuclear exchange. A larger war, hundreds of weapons, major population centers destroyed, enough soot to cut global calorie production in half. The models say around 2 billion people starve, 1 in 4 people alive right now. A full-scale exchange between the largest arsenals? Thousands of weapons. The immediate deaths approach 360 million. Then the winter sets in, and food production drops by as much as 90%. Within 2 years, the global death toll from starvation alone could reach 5 billion. 5 billion. There's no historical comparison. There's nothing to compare it to. Your group has been rationing for 3 months now. The arguments started somewhere around week 6. Not about food, not at first. About who makes decisions, who gets more. Who's been pulling their weight? You've survived the explosions, the fallout, the scramble for shelter. And now the most dangerous thing in your life is what happens to people when there's not enough. You knew it was coming. You all knew. You just didn't say it out loud. Somewhere in the southern hemisphere, things are different. Not good, but different. The weapons were all detonated in the north. The nuclear winter is milder down there. Countries like Argentina, New Zealand, Australia still have livestock, still have some functioning agriculture. They've closed their borders, stopped exporting. They're trying to keep their own people alive. Nobody knows if it's working. The radio signals you're picking up are getting fewer. The ones that remain don't say much. From where you're sheltering, on a night when the clouds part, the stars look the same as they always did. That's the strangest part. The sky hasn't changed. The stars are fine. It's only the thin layer of atmosphere between them and you that's different. Just a little less light making it through. Just enough to break everything. You survived day 1, and day 30, and day 90. That's more than most. Now you just have to do it again and again and again for as long as the sky stays dark. And you find yourself thinking, for the first time, something that should have been obvious long before any of this. We really should have made sure this never happened.